You might be looking at me and say, you don't actually have silver hair. Your hair is half black and half silver. Well, let me tell you, okay? I've had blonde hair for a long time. This is my natural hair color. It is very, very dark, and this is very, very light, so I know all the ins and outs, and also, it just sucks. But it's so beautiful and so worth it. Today's video I'm going to do 10 cons of why... What? This doesn't make any sense. 10 cons of having silver hair! 1. Getting silver hair is incredibly difficult, especially if you do it at home by yourself with no assistance from anyone and no previous knowledge of how to do hair. Thankfully, I actually do hair, and like the last couple of times this was actually me doing it by myself. But even if you do know how to do hair and you do go to a salon, they can mess it up real bad for you. You just don't know, and it's real scary. 2. Silver hair is incredibly time consuming, especially if your hair is very dark like mine. If you're already starting with a light color, it's not going to take that long, but if you're starting with like this Asian black hair, it can take up to 8 hours or like multiple visits. One time I went from totally virgin black with hair down to here to like this like really light pink, and that literally took 16 hours. I had to go to my salon when the salon was closed, me and one of my coworkers, and we worked from I think 10 a.m. or 11 a.m. to like 7 or 8 p.m. and then I had to go back the next day for the same exact thing, and then I had to go back again and have him retone it because I didn't like the color of my hair. So it was 3 very long days and it sucked, but it looked so good. 3. Silver hair is not meant for everybody. It looks really, really good in photos and really good in like the camera, but honestly in some lighting it makes you look really freaking terrible. And that depends on your own skin tone and also the lighting that you're in and the clothes that you're wearing. A lot of factors you gotta think about when you have like silver or funky colored hair, especially when it comes to your facial tone-age, because some shades of gray are just not good for me. They make me look like I have like, they just make me look sallow and like extra yellow, like not like extra like oriental, but like extra like jaundice-y. Not to make fun of anyone with jaundice, but like I just looked so crazy in like the bathroom or at the drugstore, or if I didn't have any makeup on, or just all these places that I had to think about, and it was just bad. 4. Having silver hair is very, very expensive. If you do it yourself, it's not as expensive, but I don't really recommend that. So going to the salon is very expensive. A lot of salons charge per hour, and it's a double process. So that means you have to process it, wash it out, and process it again. And because it takes so many hours, you're paying per hour and the cost can add up. 5. Piggybacking on number 4, you should not do this yourself. And I am saying that as a hair care professional, and even if I wasn't, I guess I would still say it if I wasn't, right? Like I said in all the other points, it's really difficult, really time consuming. Bleach does not work the same as hair dye, so it's not like you can just like squish it around your head. You need to take really small sections and be very careful that you don't overlap anything, because that will cause your hair to break off. And in order to get it to silver, you need it to be very, very, very light, and at that point it is very important that you watch your hair carefully, or even better, have someone watch it for you to make sure your hair doesn't break or melt off. 6. It is very damaging. Now I'm just piggybacking off all of my previous points. In order to get your hair to be so incredibly light, you need to remove all of the underlying pigment in your hair, which means the pheomelanin and the eumelanin in your hair. So by doing this, you have to lighten it, and therefore it opens the cuticle and strips the pigment out. Not good for your hair, especially if you need to get this light, only because in the process of taking out the melanin in your hair, you could actually also burn the cortex of your hair, and that is what causes your hair to snap because it doesn't have anything on the inside supporting it. The only thing that I can think of as like an example is, imagine your hair is a Christmas tree, an undecorated Christmas tree. You're going to go pick up your Christmas tree from the Christmas tree farm, and so the tree is like this. That's what your hair looks like as the lightener is working to take out all the pigment. So when you buy a Christmas tree and you have to have it wrapped, take it home on top of your car, they put a Christmas tree wrap on it. That wrap is what your hair looks like on the regular, and the open pine tree without the wrap on it is what your hair looks like when you're lightening it. Now the trunk of the tree is the hair's cortex. So if you're hollowing out all of the inside of the tree, once you get to the cortex, if you keep chopping down at the cortex, you're not going to have a tree trunk anymore, and then the tree is just going to fall over and you will not have a Christmas tree anymore. That was a really bad example, but hopefully you got it. 7. Gray hair is incredibly difficult to maintain. A lot of people don't realize there's no true gray color. The gray needs to be made by combining different colors. However, your stylist or you choose to make that gray color is up to you. Now there are companies now that do make grays and titaniums, but if you look really closely at the color as you're using it, it's usually like a blue color or a purple color, or like the really crappy ones are like literally a diluted black, which then makes your hair fade into like this dooky green color. So there's no real gray color pigment, and therefore the gray doesn't stay because it's not really a thing. And a lot of people are shocked because once your gray fades after a couple of shampoos, you spent all that money to get gray and it didn't even last a month. But that's okay, because then you can just do it again and then be gray again, and you can tone in lots of different grays. And if you want to get spicy, you can do another color that's not gray that will last longer than gray. I'm just saying, just gray, gray. 8. The breakage is so bad. So because you need to compromise your hair so much to get it into this really, really, really light color, there's a lot of breakage happening, okay? A lot of people don't know, especially if you go to the salon, because when you're at the salon, they do their best to hide the fact that they're breaking your hair off by, you know, taking your hair out of the sink before you go and you turn around and you look at the sink, or doing a couple of tricks such as brushing it really gently, drying it completely before they start styling it. Have things out of your view so you don't see that you have so much hair breaking off. And it's a lot more hair than you think it is, especially if your person, your stylist, does not care about you or doesn't know what they're doing, because I have had all three. I've had competent coworkers, I have had coworkers that didn't like me and did my hair, and I've had coworkers that just didn't care and did my hair, and myself, who I don't really care and do my own hair. And the hairballs, for the record, the biggest one was like this big. We gathered it in a towel and we made like a hairball baby, and I didn't seem like I was missing hair, and it was very fascinating. And my coworker was following me around the salon while I was walking around, and she would take my hair and she would just hold on to it, and then I would walk away. And my hair was so damaged that it would just snap off, and I didn't know that she kept following me around and grabbing onto the ends of my hair because it was just that fragile and that compromised. The breakage doesn't stop at the salon. My hair has been so compromised sometimes that when the wind blows, my hair would break off, and it was awesome. But if you're not that type of person and you don't have a lot of hair to spare, I don't suggest you take the risk of being this color, because if you literally only have like 20 hairs on, I said literally, but if you only have 20 hairs on your head, like if your hair is very, very thin and you can't afford to lose a couple of hairs or like a lot of hairs, I do not suggest going this route because breakage and the loss of a good portion of your hair is sometimes unavoidable. Sometimes it is avoidable, depending on how you go about it. 9, it is a long process. I know I said that in the beginning, but there's like that is it Khloe Kardashian? I don't know. But anyway, there was some chart that someone made of one of the Kardashians going blonde, and it was very many stages of going blonde. A lot of people think that you can go blonde in a day, and some people can, but some people cannot. Most people, if not all people, should not, because to blow open the cuticle like that is not good for your hair. So if you want to do it safe, do it slowly. And of course that costs a lot more money, takes a lot more time. You end up looking kind of not the way that you wanted to for a lot of the time because you have to go through all of those stages of being brown, being red, being orange, being yellow, being light yellow, and then being silver. So that's the safest way to do it. That's not the most cost-effective way. It's up to you how you want to go about it, but there is that Harry Potter meme with, I think, Lucius and Voldemort. Now that you have all of this knowledge about how bad it is to have silver hair, or not really bad because having silver hair is awesome, but how hard it is, how difficult of a thing it is to have silver hair, just know that the upkeep is a pain in the behind. So as you can see, I'm referencing myself again. So as you can see, I have black hair. For me personally, when my hair was fully done, down to the root, I was all silver. I was just like, okay, great, this is awesome, but I look kind of stupid because depending on the shade of silver it was or gray it was, it didn't go with my skin tone completely. I would let it go a couple more days to a week, and then I would have a little bit of root and I'd be like, yeah, this looks amazing. I look great. A couple more weeks, now I look really stupid. And then I would have to get my hair done. The thing about upkeep is the darker your hair is, the harder it is to get it to this color. Now, the longer you let your hair grow from the root, the more difficult it is to get it to this color. So once you pass maybe about this much, the heat from your scalp, which accelerates the processing for the lightener, doesn't permeate that far. So when you have too much root, you will end up with two different colors because the hair closest to the scalp will develop faster than the hair further away from the scalp. If you do that, you have 3 choices. 1, get your hairstylist to go over just the band that didn't lift to the same color as the root. 2, leave it alone and have a band. If you look at people with their hair colored like this and you look very carefully in good lighting, you will see a lot of them have bands in their hair. Sometimes they don't notice because they don't look at themselves, but if you look closely, they are there because it's really hard to get a consistent color throughout unless you maintain it every month, month and a half, 2 months tops, which again is a lot of money and time you're spending. Or 3, just color it darker and not have silver, and then there's no more band because then you're matching it to the darkness of the band, and then you're not gray anymore, but that's okay, I guess, right? Yeah. So guys, that is pretty much it. These are my 10 cons of having a silver hair. And honestly, like, everyone always does pros. I do cons because cons are the things that no one talks about. I love having silver hair. I have a passion for having gray silver hair. It is just the color I think that suits me the most, and I encourage everybody to actually try it because I think it is an amazing fashionable color, and besides, gray looks great on everybody. Have you seen those old men and ladies with like all white or all gray hair? They look freaking fantastic. So honestly, go for this color. But those are all the things that you should be thinking about before you actually take the leap, especially if you want to do it at home. It is actually very difficult. When I do it, it takes me literally 12 hours. 12 every time because I can't see the back of my head. So I wish everybody well on their gray, silver, whether it's chemically or naturally achieved look. And yeah, so for right now, this is what it is. I'm personally growing out my silver to have all black hair, but we'll see how long that lasts. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!